'cause that's the book for me. I stand alone on the Word of God, the Bible. I've been waiting all week long for Sunday to come so I can sing my song, have a little church, and do our thing. Everybody's rocking to the Sunday school swing. Yeah, yeah, Sunday school swing. Alright. Charged of the Battle of Jericho.
And he is the alien that is called lust. Does anybody know what lust is? I know that for most of you, it's kind of over your head. And this is one of those things that most Sunday school teachers probably wouldn't teach you, but I think I've got a way of doing it that is okay. Does anybody know what lust is? Good. Has anybody thought that they have fallen in love?
That's not fair, you did.
My mom did.
Does anybody think that they have fallen in love with the most beautiful girl or the most handsome boy? If you have, raise your hand. You think you have? You think you have? Did you say you think you have?
No.
No? You don't think?
Tired.
You don't think? You think you may have fallen in love? Okay.
Tired.
So, who in here has only fallen in love because of the way the person looks?
I fall in love with food because of the way it looks. It looks good.
So, you look at somebody and you're like, I love that person. But you've never even talked to them, right? You never talked to them. How do you know you love somebody unless you talk to them? See, that's the difference between love and lust. So lust will tell you, oh, the way that person looks makes me love them. The way that person they've got a pretty face. It's like all in the right place. Their eye is not too far apart. Their tongue's not hanging out their mouth like a dog.
Like Sid the Slothfulness.
Yeah.
So pretty.
Who would love somebody that looks like that? Just by looks. I don't think so. I think some people are just being funny. Or wait. How about?
Don't do it. Don't do it. No.
How about this ugly thing? This is an abomination.
It's ugly slob.
Who would want to give this guy a kiss? That's gross. He looks like a booger with legs, right? He looks like a booger. He looks like a booger with legs. Who wants to kiss a booger? I don't want to kiss a booger.
Y'all say ew, but I bet you picked your nose and ate it before.
Right? That's not much better. That's not much better than kissing a booger, tell you. So, that's what lust is. It's a mix between
What you see
and wanting that person. Who remembers what envy was?
A monster.
Anybody remember what envy was? So envy was you see something that somebody else has and you want that thing so much you're willing to do whatever it takes to get that thing, right? That's what we taught, right, Mr. Phillip? Or was this one that you weren't here with?
He was there.
Okay, just making sure. You were here. I know you were here for it. Because, you both were, because you were both saying, Shrek Wazowski. Okay?
Shrek Wazowski.
Yeah. So, it's a mix between envy, because you want that person more than anything in the world, and you will do anything to get that person, even if they are with somebody else. Will you put on my wig?
No.
But it's prideful. You need to put on the
No. I don't want that mess of hair.
It needs to be brushed. But
See, that's slothful right there, Mr. Sid, the slothfulness. Oh, come on, you behave that. So you just be jelly, that's what you be.
look at those lovely locks. Look at these.
You all be jelly.
Isn't his hair beautiful? So today we're going to be teaching a lesson on where lust can take you. Did you guys know that lust can take you places? But it doesn't drive a car, right? So I don't know any aliens that drive a car. I've never seen him in a car. I've never seen him in a car, or him, or him, or him, or him, or him. I've never seen Mr. LePew in a car. I've seen him under a car.
He's knitting.
He stinks. But I've never seen him driving a car. Okay, I'd be a little afraid if I seen a cartoon character driving a car. So, Brother Jacob,
Yes.
do you want to tell him what the story is about today?
Do I have to?
You're not going to be in it, so yes, you do.
So, in the Bible, yes, this is history. So it actually happened. So there was a man named Samson. Did anybody here know who Samson was? Yes.
Strong guy.
Oh yeah! Somebody knows Samson. Samson was known as the strongest man in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
He could take on whole armies by himself. Armies of hundreds, armies of thousands. And he'd stand there by himself with a donkey jawbone. And he'd be like, all right, first contender. What? Home run. All right, next one. What? Oh, that's a third one. What? And it didn't matter how many stood up to him, he was strong. The Bible says he was strong because he obeyed the law of God. At the time he was, at the time of his birth, there was a law of God at that time, way back then, that he was to not cut his hair. This was ancient times. Long before Jesus, long before the church. This was back in the times of Israel. And so when specific children were given specifically in a certain way to God, they were told, you're not supposed to cut your hair, yes.
Until his wife cut in his hair.
Don't tell the story yet.
And it wasn't. He grew up and he was strong. He could fight entire armies of bad guys because of the strength of God upon him, which was represented in his hair, his uncut hair.
Yeah. And the bad guys that he was fighting against, they were really nasty people.
They were mean.
Who remembers the story of David and Goliath?
Me.
What was the army that David was going against?
The Philistines.
The Philistines. Good job, buddy.
Thank you.
That was awesome.
Thank you for learning. I was worried.
That was awesome. So he was fighting the Philistine army, which was like a really big enemy to the Israelite people. So Samson was known as a judge, and he was going out and he was judging them with a donkey bone, and he was knocking them out left and right, and they were terrified of him.
They even got wrathful.
They got wrathful. They were like, we need to figure out how we're going to end this dude because he's going to end all of us.
He's going to beat us all up. We need to beat him up first.
They would hear his footsteps coming, and they'd start shaking in their armor. And then they would hightail it the other way.
They see him walking up with his jawbone going, all right, step up. Come on, put up your dukes.
And they would take off. It got to the point where if they knew he was coming to town, they wouldn't even show up to work. They're like, we're on guard duty, but Samson's coming that way. I'm good, dude. I ain't doing this.
I'm sick. I can't come into work today.
Yeah. And so they were trying to figure out how in the world are they going to get Samson. This guy is so strong. We've seen him pick up gigantic boulders and
chuck them at us
and throw them at us. And this dude is like buff. How in the world is this guy so buff? I've never seen a guy who's ever seen somebody pick up a big gigantic boulder.
My dad.
Like how big was it? Was it this big?
No, it was made of concrete.
Made of concrete? Well, this was like bigger than any human being could pick up. We'll get to you in just a minute.
I seen my dad pick up an ashtray.
Okay.
Okay.
And I said how big it was. This big.
Oh wow.
And he's not iron strong enough to pick up that big of a rock?
Yeah. So, anyways,
Iron Man!
He was stronger than Iron Man.
Iron Man has got nothing on Samson. Samson is stronger than Iron Man, I promise.
Iron Man needed his armor to
Because-
lift things. Samson just went up and went.
But Spider-Man is
Yeah.
stronger.
All right. Well, let's talk.
Let's talk about Bible. Let's
Yeah,
actually
we'll-
talk about what actually is real.
Yeah, we'll
Because
talk about
Samson
real
was
stuff.
real. Iron Man, Spider-Man, all them, they're made up characters. They're fun to watch.
How about
But they never existed. Samson was real. He was a real man. Capable of doing these things. Capable of taking on armies by himself. So strong he made whole armies fear him. He was real, just as real as Jesus was.
So, real quick, I'm going to steal your beautiful,
Thank you.
luscious locks,
I
and
don't know why you put it on me. Okay.
just for fun. It was hilarious. Who thought it was funny? I thought it was funny.
Oh.
And so now I'm putting it on me.
It
so-
covers your gray hair.
Right? And so one
It
day,
looks like you have a
Samson met a beautiful girl that is
that
leaving.
has a beard.
No, she doesn't have a beard. He's supposed to be Samson.
I'm not a girl. Thank you very much. So one day, he met a beautiful girl.
Here she comes.
Oh, you're so beautiful. You look like somebody I want to marry. Just letting you know, this is actually my wife in real life. So, yeah. So he loved Delilah. That was her name, Delilah. So they started going out on dates, and every time he'd see her, his heart would go boom, 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 boom. Everybody go boom, 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 boom. Everybody. Boom, 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 boom. So he'd see her, he'd look at her, and every time I look at her, I want you guys to go boom, boom, okay? Let's test it out. Let's see if we can do it. Okay, good job. So every time they'd go out on a date, and they'd hold hands, and they would be all mooshy and gooshy and lovey-dovey, and he would take her everywhere and say, yo, this is my girlfriend. This is my girlfriend. He was so proud of her. So proud of how beautiful she is.
Hey Samson, where do you get your strength?
Wait, what?
Where does your
So eventually, she cozied up to him enough that she asked him a very important question. Samson,
where does your strength lie?
where do I get my strength? Should Samson tell her?
No.
Because he was told not to tell anybody. It was a secret. It was top secret. Because if anybody knew, they'd be able to use his strength or his weakness against him. Does anybody know where he got his strength?
God.
His hair.
His hair. His hair. Good job. Kenny.
In a minute.
It
Kenny.
was me.
You said it? You said hair?
Rachel
Good
did it also. I said hair.
You said God, right? Which is not wrong, but not the answer I was looking for.
I didn't know.
So Samson got his strength from his hair, right?
It was a long
I
one.
know what God did. He fired up
So she asked him, Samson,
Where does your strength lie?
where do you get your strength? How are you so buff? And he said, should I tell her?
No.
Should I tell her? I mean, I love this girl, but should I tell her?
Yes.
No.
No. Yes.
So he goes, maybe I won't tell her this time.
Tell her something funny.
I'm just gonna have a little bit of fun. Well, Delilah, if you bind my hands with rope, I will be completely powerless
Okay.
and 100% vulnerable. And so one night he was laying down to go to sleep, and she'd stroke his luscious locks. And once he was asleep,
This is surely going to work.
In his face.
and then once he was all tied up, and asleep, she would call the Philistines. The enemy.
Hey, Philistine.
Brother Jacob, you're the Philistine.
Oh, great.
Hey, Philistines.
He's powerless.
He's powerless. Let's get him.
Yes! And so the Philistines would come up and he'd go, "Oh, let it work!" And he'd whip them back to their mamas. And they'd be going crying like a little doggy.
Samson, you lied.
Go home, little doggy, go home. Get on out here. Get on out here.
You said I
And she goes, and she was crying. She's like, "Oh, Samson, how could you? You lied to me. You said you loved me and you lied to me."
Samson, you said you loved me. You lied to me. Why did you lie to me?
And so she did this, just like, she did it like 2 or 3 more times. And each time she did something, she would go rat Samson out to the Philistines. Does she love him? Does she love Samson?
No.
If she tells the bad guys that he's weak? Yes.
And the funny thing about it is, it never clicked in Samson's mind that every time he told Delilah about it, it would happen and the Philistines would come running. He just thought, I love her, it's just nothing, it's no big deal, it's just a coincidence, it has to be.
Yeah.
We'll take a road trip.
Yeah, we will.
Samson.
So after a couple more times of whipping the Philistines and she's getting tired of it, she's like, "All right, Samson, look." And she's mad at this point. She's like, "Samson, look at me. Look at me, Samson."
Look at me, Samson. What are you doing? You lied to me. You don't love me. Where does your strength lie?
Okay, if I tell you, you can't tell nobody, okay?
I promise I won't. I love you.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Okay. And this is after 2 or 3 times. He trusted her 2 or 3 times. And each time she did him wrong. She went and told the Philistine army, "Hey, he's weak. You can get him now. You can." And so he goes, "All right, I really do love you. I think you're beautiful. If you cut my hair, I will be completely powerless." And she's like, "Are you sure? Or are you just lying to me?"
Are you lying to me again? Because I can't take any more lies.
No. If you cut my hair, I will be completely powerless. And so he goes to bed. He goes to bed, and while he's sleeping, my hair's falling out. And so he's sleeping. Don't really cut my hair,
There's not enough there to cut.
right? So he's sleeping, and he wakes up.
And he felt God's power leave him.
Man, I feel weak.
Oh,
I feel this.
You feel weak now, do ya?
What? Oh, what'd you do?
Ha! We got him, Philistine! We beat mighty Samson! Come on, Samson. I got a lot of wrath I've been holding on to. And I want to make sure, as sure can be, that all the Philistines get to walk through it.
To big stone pillars, and they were all having a big old party.
We beat them up, we made a laughing stock out of him, we paraded him through the city going, "Look at the mighty Samson now, we finally beat him."
And that's not it. They poked out his eyeballs. He couldn't see nothing. He was blind. And so they were all having, every big leader of the Philistine army was in one place. They were all in this big banquet hall, and they were having a great party to celebrate their great victory over God's chosen Samson. And they had him tied up to pillars, and they were mocking him and laughing at him and beating him up and spitting on him and all that nasty
While they
stuff.
were eating, they could watch and say, "Look at that, dinner and a show, this is wonderful."
And so Samson was hanging his head, and he started praying. He said, "God, all the Philistine people are here. God, if you give me the strength just one last time, I promise you, I will do a great and mighty work for you. God, I have no strength, I have no sight, I can't fight, but if you give me the strength to do just one last thing, just this one last thing, I will do good for your kingdom." And as he was praying, God gave him some strength. And he didn't give him like full strength. He didn't give him his sight back, but he gave him just enough that there was starting to be an earthquake.
Whoa! What's going
The
on?
building started rocking. And it was all because Samson started pushing those pillars down. He started rocking those pillars.
Step back.
And the building started to collapse.
Ah!
And Samson was moving them. And finally, got down and he broke the pillars. And the whole building came crashing down on the Philistine's head. The whole roof caved in on all the bad guys. Every last one of them. And they were all squished like bugs.
Oh, squeezed. Even
Every last
Samson
one of
himself.
them. Yeah, even Samson was squished like a bug.
Because he was no longer strong.
But
Just strong.
God had the victory.
Because all of the Philistines' leaders were now dead.
So all of this happened because Samson thought he loved somebody. They looked beautiful. They looked like a trustworthy person. They looked like somebody he wanted to marry. But it wasn't really love. He just liked the way she looked. She was very pretty. And so at the very end, Delilah tricked him and proved that it wasn't real love.
Yep.
And it was lust that killed Samson.
On a day like this, on a day like this, on a day like this, oh, I need the Lord help me. On a day like this, on a day like this, on a day like this,